Yes, so we now are going to hear from our last speaker in this PhD panel today. We have another one tomorrow, and that's Valentine Madzudzo from Stellenbosch.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, once again. So I'm Valentine. I'm going to present on immigrant special visas and local employment with evidence coming from South African metropoles. So this is the basic outline of the presentation. So the main research objective was to investigate the association between immigrant work permit and local employment in Cape Town and eThekwini. So for the methodology used, firms and employees aggregated data, the administrative data from the National Treasury with the time period from 2014 to 2022. Then I also used geospatial data and satellite data. For the model specification, I relied on the descriptive statistics and bivariate maps, ordinary least squares, the interaction model, as well as the event study regression. Okay. So for the interaction model, we are seeing that on the left-hand side we have changes in local employment relative to local employment in the base year period, the base year period being 2016, because the main investigation was the Zimbabwe exemption permit, which was introduced in 2017. So the previous year served as the baseline period. So on the left-hand side, we are seeing the changes in local employment relative to the base year, and then on the right-hand side, we have the covariates. This foreign change, it shows the changes in foreign employment again relative to the base year period. Then there's the CBD. The CBD, this measures the continuous distance of each location, which I will also call a hexagon. The distance between each hexagon to the CBD. So why I included this? I included this because studies tend to show that immigrants who tend to stay closer to the CBD, and this is more so important in South African context given the history of apartheid, whereby locals, many studies have documented that locals are segregated away from the CBD and also the transport corridors. So the beta 3 is then trying to capture the interaction effects of that. And then the stainless relation goes to equation 2, but in this case, instead of the CBD, we are capturing the corridor effects, whether being located near, there are some differentiated effects between locals and foreigners who are located along the corridors, the main corridors, as well as an average distance away from the transport corridors. For the event study, again, this is showing the relative changes of local employment relative to the base year period, and the beta T is now capturing the time varying impact of a unit change in the foreign base period. So foreign base in this case is showing the share of the foreigners in the base year period, which is 2016. And for the covariates, I used the number of the log of establishments in each location in the year 2016, as well as I also controlled for local economic activity using night lights. So the explanation is also the same for equation 4, except for the fact that whereas equation 3 is about local employment changes, equation 4 is about the foreign employment changes. So for the descriptive statistics, we can see that over time, local employment grew from between 2014 and 2022. But as I have already said, our main period of interest is 2017 to 2022, we can see clearly that local employment grew from 4,277 on average per every unit location, which is called the hexagon, to 4,380 in 2022. We can also see that in Cape Town, the foreign share also increased from about 3.7% of total employment in 2014 to about 5.2% in 2022. And when you look from 2017 to 2022, you can also see that the trend of an increase in foreign employment. So what we can get from Cape Town is that there was it appears to have been a positive association between foreign and local employment in Cape Town. And the picture is about the same also in eThekwini, where we see that local employment and foreign employment tend to grow together. Although for foreign employment, you can see that from 2017, the share has been rather stagnant. So these bivariate maps are now seeking to show the spatial changes that took place over time. The light red color shows those locations where locals lost jobs to foreigners, whereas the light red color shows locations where both locals and foreigners lost jobs, whereas the dark red color shows the locations where foreigners, locals lost jobs to foreigners. For the light green color, we are now seeing those locations where locals are now gaining jobs at the expense of foreigners. Whereas when you see the dark green color, it is showing us those locations where there were complementarities in the job growth. And what we are seeing from this overall picture is that there were a lot of complementarities between foreign and local jobs. Although around the CB and some transport corridors, we seem to see a pattern of locals losing jobs to foreigners. When you go to eThekwini, also seeing that there's a lot of those complementarities we're talking about. And on the peripheries, you can see that some locals seem to be losing jobs to foreigners. So, yeah, I think this is also the same. So for the interaction effects model, the blue line is our main effect. It is showing the main effect, and from what you are seeing here, you can see that the locals lost jobs to foreigners. It was only significant in the year 2018. But when you see now the interaction effects, you can see that the substitution effect became weaker the further one went away from the CBD. The picture is slightly different for eThekwini, where we see that there was actually substitution of local employment for foreign employment. But although there were complementarities in the growth, the complementarity became weaker the further away you went away from the CBD. But when you go to the transport corridors, you can see that there was not much significance there, so there's no much story to write about because the coefficients were insignificant. So for the Venn-Diagram regression, we can then see the overall picture. First of all, we see that foreign employment appears to have grown in new places. Because from the descriptive statistics, we saw that the foreign employment grew in overall, the aggregate foreign employment grew. But here we see that areas which had an initial high level of foreign employment realized fewer foreign employment, which is suggesting that foreign employment grew in new places. So this would suggest that there was formalization of that the Zimbabwe exemption permit was associated with formalization, whereby those foreigners who previously didn't have the permits were now being able to be absorbed into the labor market. And for eThekwini, we see that there was a distinct pattern of substitution of labor between locals and foreigners, with locals displacing foreigners. So the overall conclusion that we get is that the Zimbabwe exemption permit was associated with positive changes in aggregate, but it was not at the expense of local employment. Although there were some substitution effects, which we saw from the bimaps, we saw from the subsequent econometric models that the substitution was only restricted to 2018, so the pattern did not extend beyond 2018. Thank you.
Thanks, Valentine. So I have a data question, and it's just because I'm not familiar with this data, but can you tell us a little bit about how you identify foreigners in the data? And I'm just trying to think whether you can verify this against any other, or if you can measure foreigner status really well in these data, if you can then take that information about the hexagons and apply it to other data sets to say something about the share of foreign workers in a larger labor market as well. Because you only have formal sector firms, is that right? I guess a big question is, tell us a little bit more about your data.
Okay. So, one thing about the data is that, as you have rightly said, it only captures the formal sector. So it becomes one of the limitations. It becomes one of the limitations of the study. Then the administrative data actually has a foreign variable, whereby employees whose IDs are not South African automatically become foreigners and are captured that way. So we can actually show from location to location. Yeah.
Can you identify the ZEP in particular, or just any foreigner?
Yeah, I think that's a good question again. So there are many foreigners in South Africa, but the study which was recently conducted showed that Zimbabweans comprise about 48% of the total foreigners in South Africa. So even when you want to, because this data is the total universe of all the formal employees and firms. So when we take the total number of foreigners in each year, you see that the number is, in most cases, it's about half of the total number of the foreigners. Because the number of people who were issued with the Zimbabwe exemption permits was around 178,000. So that is the number. You get about half that number. We get about twice that number. Yes. So I'm not making a causal claim that the ZEP caused this, but it was associated with. Yes.
Yeah, the second question is, thank you so much for the research. I think it's quite helpful. What is the end goal with that research? What do you then inform these governments to do? What do you advise them based on that research? Should they promote local employment? Should they encourage international foreigners to come into the country to leverage their skills, say their skills are scarce and they are needed in the country? It could be perhaps the reason why the locals are unemployed or they lose employment, it might be because the foreign internationals have maybe sharper skills in certain industries. So my question is, what do you advise certain governments? I know it doesn't cut across as a blanket statement, but let's say typical South Africa, on your transportation corridors, what would you advise the South African government to do with the research that you've provided?
Okay, thank you for the question. So I think this topic is topical currently, given the volatile political discourse taking place from whether the US or even in South Africa, where we have seen some pockets of xenophobic violences against the locals, the foreigners. So this paper seeks to challenge the narrative that foreigners are to blame for job losses. There's actually a study which was conducted by the World Bank in 2019, and it found that for every one foreign job created, there were 2 local jobs generated. So this helps helps policymakers to come up with evidence-based findings. So, but when they come up with evidence-based findings, it is also imperative for them to look at place or location-based solutions or policies. Instead of coming up with just a blanket policy, it's imperative to maybe look at the changes that took place from year to year and in the specific locations where we've been experiencing, say, persistent local employment losses, and then come up with location-specific policies. So there are some initiatives such as the district development policy, which is trying to help policymakers to come up with location-based policies, which empowers them to come up with some policies that can empower locals, say, by upskilling their skills or something like that. So we are not saying just because the foreigners have been given the permits, then all is well. We also have to look at the local side and make sure that whatever happens, they are not suffering.
Hi, great work. I had actually a bit related question to the previous question. I'm very curious about the special, the ZEP, the special economic permit. This seems like sort of in today's climate in many countries with sort of hostility towards migrants and so on. I always thought that like special visas seem like a potential way out in a sense for policymakers if given the positive benefits that you show. I believe there's some, like Italy apparently is also like the leadership is very sort of anti-immigrant in its rhetoric, but then they let in substantial numbers through the special visas. So I guess I'm just curious if there's, can you tell us a little bit more about what your analysis shows about the extent to which this is due to the particularities of the visa on which they were let in? Like, which part of this is about the special economic permit? Would things have been different if it was just sort of a generic normal visa they were let in on?
I'm sorry, but I didn't get the last part.
Okay, maybe I guess I'm asking about details about the special economic permit. What were the rules and how do you think they affected the conclusions that you reach in some sense?
The role of what?
The details of the ZEP.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so you see that South Africa did not only issue permits to Zimbabweans. They also issued permits to Lesotho. In 2016, the Lesotho nationals were issued with the Lesotho special permit. So what makes, one might ask, why the ZEP now? You see that for the LSP, the uptake of the program was gradual, such that 3 months after it was introduced, only 17 people had applied for the permit. The other factor is that whereas for the Zimbabwe exemption permit, there were supportive mechanisms such as the VFS, which were set up in several districts, but for the Lesotho special permit, it was only, they only had to go to the Ministry of the Home Affairs. So, and then you also look at the sheer number of people who applied. So for the Lesotho special permit, we had about 97,000 people benefiting from that permit, whereas from the ZEP, we had 178,000 people. So this strengthens the claim that the ZEP might be causing what you have just seen.